This is the plaintiff, Charmaine. She says she babysat the defendant's 8-year-old daughter for the past 14 months. And the horrible defendant called the Department of Social Services on her and claimed she was running an illegal daycare business. The defendant messed with her good name and reputation by filing a false report, and she's here suing for $1,000 for harassment and defamation of character. This is the defendant, Nicole Jones. She says she did indeed call the Department of Social Services, but didn't tell them anything that wasn't true. The plaintiff is the one who's harassing her. She's accused of making a false report. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,000 for harassment.
All parties, please raise your right hands. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Charmaine, you are suing Ms. Jones for $1,000 for harassment and defamation of character. And Ms. Jones, you are one-upping her on a counterclaim for $2,000 for the exact same thing. So what happened here? How do you two know each other?
We met online on care.com. She messaged me.
And what's care.com?
It's a website where you can, I guess, find like babysitting or nanny jobs.
Okay.
So, but she messaged me. Now, on that particular website, I already had like a lot of 5-star reviews. I'm pretty sure that's why she messaged me. So then I started watching her daughter in July of last year.
Okay. And how old is the daughter?
8.
Okay. And so you watched her since July of 2019 until the problem happened this year?
September. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. In your state, you're from South Carolina. Does it require a license to watch kids, or a license only if it's more than a certain number, or how does it work?
So in South Carolina, their only stipulation on why you would have to get a license is if you have more than one sibling group that's not a relative. You can only have one unrelated group of siblings at a time.
Oh, by group you mean siblings. So if she had 6 kids, and then you had a cousin who had 6 kids, you could have 12 kids and not be licensed.
That's correct. There's no statute on the
Okay, I got it.
Until you do the license. Mm-hmm.
All right, so then what happens? She's paying you how much per week?
It started off at $75 per week, and then ultimately we ended at $80 by the time we ended our business relationship.
And then why did you end your business relationship? What occurred?
So she was like late a lot, and even times where like we would go out of town for family trips, she would ask if we could babysit. Now, I don't want to put her in a bind because she doesn't have family here. So it's been times where we would take her daughter with us for free, and she would still be late. Come and get her. And it's like she did things like that all the time. At a point in time, she was supposed to get her daughter at 6:45 a.m. When the COVID situation happened, just because she does work overnight, I was just trying to be nice. I told her I would keep her daughter for free until 9 a.m. and she can come get her just so she can get some sleep. She was late all the time, come at 9:50. So I went ahead again as a courtesy. I changed it to 10 o'clock. She still used to come late. So it's like I just got to a point with her where I'm like, it's no common courtesy. Even if I tell you you're infringing on my time, she just still would do it.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Charmaine, tell me exactly who tells who I don't want to continue with this relationship. I'm not going to bring does she say I'm not going to bring my daughter anymore? Or do you say don't bring your daughter anymore?
So I basically told her, instead of us doing the 7 a.m. pickup, since the other kids don't come to 7:30, I told her we've already been doing a lot of back and forth with the pickup time. So I said we can do a 7:20 pickup time since the other kids come at 7:30. Well, she went off on me pretty much about that. So then I told her, okay, if we're going to make a big deal about 20 minutes, I'd rather, I gave her money back and ended the business relationship. She then said, oh, well, I'll let you know if I want her to come back again. So I told her again, no, this not going to work because we basically arguing over 20 minutes, So I told her this not going to work, take care, try to be nice about ending the business relationship. And it just literally over 20 minutes, it went south.
Okay, and we'll talk about that in a second because there were emails back and forth that are very nasty, and then apparently there are some complaints that Ms. Jones files. Ms. Jones, what did you perceive to be the reason why you had to end the business relationship?
So the reason why I ended the business relationship is because she kept changing the time on me. I work from 6 o'clock at night up until 4:30 or 6 in the morning.
Doing what?
I make car parts, like fuel injectors for the cars.
You make car parts. Okay, go ahead. So go on.
And so I didn't want to have to wait a whole hour and a half to come get my daughter. Like when I get off from work, I'm going to go pick up my kid and go home.
With regular people, the way it works is, oh, I guess it's not working. You take your daughter, you say goodbye, and good riddance, and it's over. How did this get so nasty between all of you? Why did it get so nasty?
Okay, so essentially what happened, me and Charmaine were arguing over the time. We at first initially agreed upon 6:45 in the morning. My daughter came back from a whole nother state. And then I then told her, okay, well, she could stay until noon so I could get a little extra rest. When my daughter missed her Google Meet with her class, and my daughter was complaining to me, Charmaine was not helping her with her homework. That's when I then told Charmaine that I wanted to go back to 6:45. She wouldn't allow me to go back to 6:45, but we agreed upon 7. That was on a Wednesday. Then 2 days later on a Friday, she said, oh, I'm no longer going to accommodate your 7 o'clock, that you need to come pick her up at 7:20 starting on a Tuesday. I then told her that I was not going to work. And I told her that I was going to go look elsewhere for childcare for my daughter.
Okay,
and I will
that's
let her
fine.
know.
Again, let me be more specific. I don't think I'm being specific enough.
Listen.
There's an email on September 13th where I guess you must have texted her or said something about I'll let you know what I'm going to do. And she says, I made it crystal clear on Friday we were done. You have no reason to contact me. I'd never work with you again. And I tried to be nice about it. Move on, exclamation point. I know you got both messages Friday where we said we were done. Then you write to her in all capital letters with a lot of emojis, you obviously the crazy one because you emailing me. I'm protecting myself so you don't try to come with false accusations. Best believe I'm reporting you. You are not licensed or registered to watch as many kids as you do. Your food was nasty. You didn't have to respond to my text messages. Obviously, your life is boring. But thanks for emailing me because now I have your last name. I know your number and address to report you, and then a bunch of like cracking up faces like you're really laughing. Why are you reporting her really? You're not reporting her because you care, because your daughter was there for a year and you didn't care. Not only did you not care, you approved of it because you sent your daughter there, who I assume you love. So you were doing it to get back at her. What did she do to you that you felt you needed to get back at her for?
Okay, because the reason why is when I went to pick up my daughter at noon, she had 5 toddlers on the floor eating, and she had 4 older kids upstairs. And my daughter, and her house is very small, and so my daughter was always complaining about all the kids that were in her household. And so that's the reason why.
Then why were you trying to leave your daughter there that weekend still? Why were you still trying to have her take care of your daughter?
I wasn't. I was.
Yeah, you were. I know you were. Don't say no. I know you were. You were saying, I'll let you know what I'm going to do. And she says, you can't fire me. I quit already. Like, that's what she was telling you because you were still trying to get your daughter. So it sounds like maybe you filed that complaint because you did file a complaint with the government in order to get her in trouble because she would no longer take care of your daughter, not because you had legitimate concerns about the child care. What ends up happening with the complaint she files? She files a complaint with the government, and what do?
They come. I definitely let them in because I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong. Now, at first, there was an issue because the kids here, they're my second cousins. So at first they try to say, no, it have to be first blood relative. Otherwise, you are not in, I guess, you're in violation. So I did tell them, I'm like, oh, I'm going to appeal that because I'm not going to let you come in my house and tell me like what degree my family have to be or something like that. Like, that's outrageous. So I told them, like, as soon as I get the letter in the mail, I'm going to get my paperwork and I'm going to appeal it. Well, the next day, and this kind of the unfortunate part, I get a call from somebody from that office kind of towards the evening, leaving me a message asking me to call back. So I don't know what they want now, So I call them back, can't get to nobody till Wednesday. Finally, Wednesday, they call me and say, we're so sorry. A second degree relative is a relative. You're compliant. And then they send me the email to just prove that I'm,
Did they ever visit your house? They visited your house, right?
I let him in. I let him in. I let him in every room. And
See,
then
the way these complaints work is they can only take a spot check a moment in time. And so they go to the house and they see whether it's in compliance at that moment or isn't, and then they rule on the complaint. Now, you went further, Ms. Jones, and you actually complained to the website was it care.com? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And you filed a complaint with them, right?
No, I did not. I wasn't able to change like my review on her because the fact that I already posted a review like way earlier when she was first started watching my daughter. And so for you to do that, you have to call like customer service. They have to take down the review, and I didn't do none of that.
Okay. Now, Ms. Charmaine, you're literally suing based on based on the fact that she filed a complaint with the government and that she filed a complaint with care.com. She's saying she didn't file a complaint with care.com. So let's talk about that first. What proof do you have that she did?
I did submit proof from the website. I mean, they sent me an email. They had my profile removed. They said that they can't tell me the details of what she said.
That's right. That's not proof. That's proof your profile was removed. And I realize she's kind of the main suspect. But she's saying she didn't, and if you don't have something to show me that she did, and not just that she did, but that what she submitted was false, it was a false statement. If you don't have that, you can't really collect on what ends up happening with care.com. If they decide that they have like a hair trigger and they have zero tolerance of anything, I don't know what their standards are, but you can't complain about it. There's other sites you can go on. I don't know how many you can't. How many kids can you have? Because if you're not licensed and you can only have X, I'm not sure that a website is your thing anyway. But you can't collect on that in this lawsuit because you can't even meet the threshold of proving what it is she filed. She's denying it, and you don't have anything from care.com. Now let's talk about the government. You acknowledge you filed a complaint with the government, right? That she was unlicensed.
Yeah.
Magically, that bothered you a year later. Okay, a year and a half later. All right. So even though I think that's stinky, right, and I think it's kind of childish, and I think that the back and forth on the emails is childish, and I've given her grief over it, tell me how it is that she did something false. She did something that caused you a hassle, but what was false? I mean, they came in and they actually said, hey, you're in violation, and then they said, oh, wait, you know what, you're right. Bully for you. You fought them. You said, you're not going to tell me what's family, what's not. I love it. All right, and you won. But what did she do false? She filed a complaint saying there's too many kids, which even the government thought there were, and they made you prove it up. You had to give them affidavits that you weren't getting paid for the cousins and all kinds of stuff, and then you cleaned it up, and that's great. But going to court and collecting money is about showing me a legal obligation that she had to you that she breached. Calling the government and saying she has too many kids, which it sounded like you did, was a legitimate thing. It's fair game, is what I'm saying. Because if you did have too many kids, then the government should be coming and giving you grief. So it's fair game. It's tasteless, but it's fair game. So you can't collect $1,000 for harassment or defamation because you can't even prove the defamation. Now, what are you suing her for $2,000? What exactly are you suing her for?
Okay. Well, when I sent her the text message that my daughter was no longer going to come, she then sends me multiple messages and then starts emailing me. After all those emails, after I start responding to her, she goes and starts texting my friend that she used to watch her son for and started bashing me and talking about me how if you're still friends with Nicole, you shouldn't be because she called DSS on me. And I submitted that to you guys.
Hold on one second. Who are you, Miss Charmaine? Who are you texting in this screenshot?
Yeah, I can tell you. I don't have no problem telling you what conversation I had. First of all, Angela used to be a client of mine, so we know her mutually. It ain't like I'm just going to somebody that she know.
Okay, listen, I know we ended our business agreement, but I like you as a person, so I'm just warning you. If you still deal with Nicole, you need to be careful. I gave her the option of waiting 20 minutes instead of waking my housemate 20 minutes early. She didn't want to. We agreed to end the service, and she filed a DSS. I can't see the rest of it.
A DSS complaint.
Okay. So how does that mean you get $2,000 from her? She is doing the same thing you did. She's saying the truth to somebody about what she thinks about you. It's a free country. She's got freedom of speech. Why would that entitle you to $2,000? I'll tell you how.
Because she's telling her
it doesn't. So in your lawsuit against her, 0. And in your lawsuit against her, also 0. Good luck, ladies.
Well, in this case, it involved two people suing each other for harassment and defamation. Neither party wins. They both get zipped. So let's find out how they feel about it. I'm sure they're not happy. Ms. Charmaine, how do you feel?
I'm honestly not upset. I really just wanted somebody to tell her that her conduct was inappropriate as far as calling DSS for, not really valid reasons. So, I mean, that's really what I care about, and her not bothering me anymore.
Well, good luck too. Sorry you lost.
Thank
Same
you.
to you, Ms. Jones. You lost, but how do you feel about the outcome?
I mean, I feel so good about it. She was very petty and very unprofessional. After I stopped texting her, she wants to go emailing me and go talking to the whole world about the whole situation. She knew she was in Iran. She knew she had over 10 kids in her household, and none of them are not family. None of those kids are not family of hers at all. Only 2 of them, which are her sons. But I'm happy this is all over with.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the case, and you don't get anything either. So sorry about that. All right, let's see what the judges feel about this case now. Let's watch and listen as the judges have another session of After the Verdict. Here they are.
I'm watching and listening, and the plaintiff in this case, Charmaine, seems so professional and so capable. She's got kids of her own. Why should the government throw up obstacles and say, well, no, you gotta have some training, or you gotta pay a licensing fee, or you gotta do this? We already have child welfare agencies that are there to go into any school, any home, any business if someone's not being treated properly. Is that really necessary, or does it just close the shop up and throw up obstacles to entrepreneurs and people who are trying to make an honest living?
What is the enforcement here? They go one day, which is all they can't. I mean, they could go several days, but they go one day, they look around, looks good to me, and they leave. Right. So I'm not sure. I mean, I actually like the idea of having to have training. I think so many people just sidestep it anyway.
Right.
That right. I don't feel the same sadness that you feel about it.
I don't know. I think, that they don't really, I think those licensing schemes, they don't protect consumers and children. What they do is they protect the people who already have a license, and they keep the other folks out and make it harder for them to get in and compete.
That's interesting.
But,
That's interesting. And I guess ostensibly they also make it harder for mothers and fathers to get childcare.
Right.
Although I honestly, I just think people just say, "Will you watch my kid? Here's the money." No, and people don't. It isn't until everything hits a fan that all of a sudden everybody gets all legal and technical.
I know, but shouldn't somebody like Charmaine just be able to do that?
For how many kids?
Well, I don't know. Maybe a whole bunch. Maybe a whole bunch.
Right, but a whole bunch what? What, 13 of them, 15 of them, 16 of them? I mean, there's got to be someone.
I agree, but childcare,
even if it's relatives, it's still got to be someone.
Childcare things like this in a home are ways for people, especially people of lesser means or who don't have secondary education, maybe a college degree, can get started, become an entrepreneur, and start a business, right?
No, I get it. I get it.
So Sharon wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, when I was a summer associate at a New York City law firm, I had the honor of meeting Mayor Ed Koch. What were your impressions of him? Because he was a judge on the show, obviously. What was he like when he was off the bench and in private? Because he was always so feisty when you saw him on TV. He was a really kind, great guy. And boy, was he Mr. New York, because every time we went out and had lunch or dinner or whatever, I am telling you, the restaurant would stop dead in its tracks. People would go crazy. They'd come up to him. And he was just so nice to everybody and would really talk to them. And it wasn't talking to them because he felt he had to. He really liked people and liked talking to them. He was an awesome guy. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case inside the courtroom.